Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Grace. I teach a lot of online yoga classes, and something I'm extremely passionate about is mental health and mental wellness, especially for athletes. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 at the age of 26. Growing up, and I was an extremely competitive swimmer as well as a triathlete, and after I stopped competing, I transitioned into a 20-year coaching career. During that time, being challenged with the emotional ups and downs that I experienced, I found it really hard as an athlete and as a coach to ask for help. I didn't want to appear as mentally weak, and I a lot of times just didn't want to admit to myself that I was going through what I was going through and that it was acceptable. One of the things that I think all of us that have competed, that have coached, know that to be at our best, we do have to critique what we've done in our training, in our racing, and we also have to accept critique. Now, being hard on ourselves, once again, is necessary to be at our best when it comes to competition and when it comes to being excellent in our sports. But one of the things that I think a lot of us, and I especially had a hard time with, was being compassionate towards myself. A lot of times that being hard on ourselves transfers into the rest of our lives, and so much so that it really becomes a big part of us, and we never learn to accept and be compassionate towards ourselves for the things that we may do wrong, the mistakes that we may make, and the experiences that we have. And to be at our best and to be healthy, we really need to learn to have compassion for ourselves. So what this next practice is all about is self-compassion. Now, this is going to be different than most yoga classes you'd find, especially yoga classes for athletes. There's going to be a lot of restorative qualities to this, and really looking at, once again, practicing self-compassion. So we're not going to go hard at this. We're not looking to develop our strength or our mobility or our body awareness. What we're looking at is really accepting where we're at. As we come into poses, what I want you to do is make sure that no matter where you're at, you're okay with where you're coming into the poses. We're not judging what we're doing in this practice. We're just allowing ourselves to come into the different poses, allowing ourselves to have some great introspection and be okay with what we see and what we notice. Now, I want to just leave you with two quotes before we start our practice as just little seeds. And one is from my favorite author, Aldous Huxley, and the other is a quote from Buddha. So these are both about self-compassion. Aldous Huxley says, "If you behaved badly, repent, make what amends you can, and address yourself to the task of behaving better the next time. On no account, brood over your wrongdoing. Rolling around in the muck is not the best way of getting clean." And then the quote from the Buddha, "You can search throughout the universe for someone who is deserving of your love and affection more than you yourself. That person is not to be found anywhere. You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and your affection." I really hope you enjoy this class, have fun with it, and really internalize that self-compassion. We are going to start our practice where we're focusing on self-compassion on our backs. So come on to your back on your yoga mat. Once you've reached your back, we're just going to come into Shavasana pose to start. So that's our pose where we can allow ourselves to relax and let go. So have the legs long on the ground. Have them about mat distance apart. The arms to the sides of the body with the palms facing straight up. The eyes can be closed. If that's uncomfortable, you can allow the eyes to be open. With the eyes closed, we just tend to be able to have greater introspection and awareness into what we're noticing because we take away that visual stimulus. As you're here, I want you to start to draw your awareness to your breath. Notice the path of your breath through the body, and notice the length of your breath. And now don't think that you should be breathing a certain way or that you need to change the breath to breathe in a certain way. Simply allow yourself to notice where you're at. Be okay with what you notice. And on every inhale, see if you can bring the awareness a little bit more strongly to your breath. On every exhale, allow yourself to have a quality of letting go. That letting go being letting go of tension through the body, and also letting go some of the attachments you may have in the mind. Noticing your thoughts, noticing your emotions, but see if you can do that without allowing them to grab your attention and take your attention away from the moment. Take the next few breaths to continue to allow your attention to start to anchor onto your breath. Then over the next few breaths, what I invite you to do is draw the awareness into the body and go through a body scan. So a body scan meaning that you're going to draw the awareness into the body and then move that awareness from either head to toe or toe to head. As you do this, simply notice how the body feels. See if you can do that without having an expectation of how you will feel. And once you notice how you do feel, not judging that, not thinking that you should feel a certain way, but allow yourself to simply notice and be okay with what you notice. So we'll take about 2 or 3 more breaths to go through that body scan. And once again, draw the awareness back to the breath. Allow the inhales to draw your attention a little bit more strongly to the breath, and continue to have that quality of letting go on your exhales. See if you can bring the mind to the moment a little bit more. Now, if your mind gets taken away by a thought, your attention drifts, just simply notice that, acknowledge it, allow yourself to be okay with it, and bring yourself back to your breath. The process of returning back to your breath can really be one of the most wonderful things of a mindful practice. Accepting that your thoughts, that your attention, or that your thoughts has grabbed your attention away from the moment, accepting that, and then returning back to the breath. On your next inhale, draw the knees into the chest and hold on to the shins. Here, use that body awareness to decide, do you want to create some movement here, or do you want to stay in stillness? Just listen to the body and trust that intuition. Whatever you're feeling through the body to determine that stillness or that movement, is again, really trust what you're feeling. And then simply come to stillness. Hold on to your right shin. Exhale, extend your left leg long. Place your heel down onto the ground. Curl the toes gently back towards the shins. And allow that right knee to come in towards the chest or the armpit. Not thinking about forcing more range, just allowing more range to come as you relax through that hip. And if you don't find more range, don't worry about that. Just really explore and inquire what you're feeling in the body. Next, inhale, bring that left knee back in towards the chest. Hold on to the left shin. Exhale, extend the right leg long, place the heel down. Once again, gently curl the toes back towards the shins. Allow that left knee to come in towards the body, not forcing anything. And simply notice how this side feels different than the last. And see if you can stay away from thinking of one side is good, one side is bad. One side is weak, one side is strong. But simply notice the differences. Learn about the body. Next, inhale. Bring that right knee back into the chest. Hold on to the right shin. Exhale, extend the left leg long, heel down. This time switch and bring your hands to the back of the right thigh. On your exhale, start to lengthen that right leg and point the toes away from you. On the next inhale, curl those toes back, put a gentle bend in the right knee. Exhale, extend and point. Inhale, bend and curl. Don't worry about how much extension you get in that leg. Just really notice what's happening and be okay with where you're at. Next, inhale. Bring that left knee back into the chest to meet the right. And then switch your grip to the left shin. On your exhale, I invite you to extend that right leg long. Place the heel down onto the ground. Gently curl the toes back towards the shins. Switch your grip to the back of the left leg. And now we're going to go through that same movement that we did on the right side. So on an exhale, extend the left leg and point the toes of both feet. Inhale, gentle bend in the knee, curl the toes. And moving on your own breath. Noticing the difference between the sides. Allowing that extension to come, not forcing yourself anywhere. And continue to keep your attention and your awareness to your breath. Next, inhale, I invite you to bring both knees back into the chest. Hold on to the shins. And here, once again, draw the awareness into the body and determine whether you want to stay in stillness or create some movement. Now, I also invite you here to just notice how the body has responded to your practice so far. How does this pose feel different than it did the first time we came into it? On the next exhale, I invite you to release the legs, allow the soles of the feet to come down to the ground. Bring them mat distance apart. Bring your arms out wide like airplane wings, palms down. Now, as we go through our practice, I want to remind you that this is really your practice. So If any of these poses aren't resonating with you or any of these movements aren't, it's okay not to do them. Just allow yourself to come into a pose, into a movement that you can really allow yourself to relax and let go and keep your awareness and your attention to your breath. Your exhale, drop your knees to the left, turn the gaze to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, switch. Allow this movement to come with ease. And see if you can connect your movement to your breath. Having your breath lead your movement, so starting to breathe before you move, allowing the length of the breath to guide the speed of your movement. The next time you're to the right side, simply come all the way over onto your side and just come into a fetal position for about 2 breaths. Allow the back to relax. And then gently press yourself up towards a seated position. Once you reach your seat, we're going to come onto our knees. We're going to bring the big toes together, knees out wide. Now, if this is uncomfortable in the hips, you can always keep the knees together. We're going to come into our child's pose. Child's pose is a great restorative pose. It can be done both active and in passive manner. We're going to do it in a passive manner where it's a tremendous restorative pose, and especially for our practice here where we're developing our self-compassion, because we're really gathering in and creating comfort, almost like we're holding that compassion within ourselves. So bring your seat back towards your heels, fold forward at your hips, and bring your head down onto the ground. Now have your arms out in front of you with the elbows bent so the body's relaxed. You might also bend the arms enough that the hands stack and the forehead rests onto the top hand. You have the option of bringing the arms by your sides and having the hands by the hips. Wherever you are, find yourself in a child's pose where you can allow yourself to relax and let go. And start to bring that awareness back to the breath. Notice now the path of the breath through the back. Really noticing the spaces between the shoulder blades and between the ribs. Notice on the inhales how those spaces may widen. And on the exhales, continue to have that quality of letting go. Allow yourself to feel comfort in this child's pose. Allow yourself to feel support in this child's pose. Allow yourself to accept what you're noticing. If you're noticing things that you have that judgment that you may not like, see if you can really practice that compassion. Then if the arms are by the sides, bring them out in front of you. In our next inhale, we're going to draw ourselves forward to our tabletop. So we're going to come onto hands and knees. Have the fingers spread wide, pointed straight forward, shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrists, and knees directly under your hips. Now we're going to come through a movement called cat-cow. What I want you to do through this is not feel that you have to stay right with the movement I'm describing. Listen to the body and allow yourself to trust that intuition once again and just move through what you feel is right for the body. So coming to our tabletop, on our inhale, lifting the seat, arching the spine, chest forward, chin forward. Exhale, dropping the seat, rounding the spine, dropping the head. Move with your own breath. And once again, don't feel that you need to keep this movement structured. Maybe moving hips side to side a little bit. Maybe moving through the spine a little differently. Maybe moving the head. Once again, allow yourself to trust your intuition. And then come to stillness in your tabletop. I invite you to walk your knees back an inch or two. Then shift your entire body forward. So you come shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrists. Strong through your core, keeping the elbows tucked in. You're going to exhale, lower down to the ground slowly. Place your palms under your shoulders, top of the feet down onto the ground. Press into the ground so your quads engage and your knees lift. On your inhale, gently bring your chest and chin up and forward into a cobra. Now you might stay really low here. That is absolutely fine. You might come up a little higher. Work with your own range. Your exhale, lower yourself down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, rise up to your cobra. Open up through the front of the body. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Open up through the heart. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, tuck your toes back behind you. On an exhale, I invite you to come back into that child's pose. Allow the arms to relax again. They can be out front or they can be by the sides. And just start to draw the awareness back to the breath. As the thoughts come into the mind here, notice the thoughts, notice the emotions, and be okay with what you're noticing. Accept and practice that self-compassion. See if you can keep your awareness, your attention to your breath as you notice those thoughts without judgment and with compassion. And then notice here how this child's pose may feel different than the first. Understanding once again how the body, how the mind is responding to your practice. On your next inhale, draw yourself back forward to your tabletop. This time we're going to return to our backs. So come onto your back however you wish. Once you return onto your back, simply draw, or I invite you to draw those knees back into the chest and hold on to the shins. And here, once again, determining whether you want to stay in stillness or create some movement. Trust that intuition once again. And as you're holding those shins, really feel that support you have for yourself. And give yourself that support. And then come to stillness. I invite you to release the shins, allowing the soles of the feet to come down to the ground, mat distance apart, arms out wide like airplane wings, palms down. And once again, on the exhale, drop the knees to one side, turn the gaze to the opposite. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, switching sides. Without expectation and without judgment, notice how this movement feels different. Don't think your body should have responded in a certain way. So allow yourself to be okay with what you notice. And if you are bringing judgment in, see if you can practice that self-compassion. Next time you're in center, come to stillness. Bring the knees back into the chest and hold on to the shins. One last time in this pose, determining whether you want to be in stillness or create some movement. And notice in this pose how the body's responded, how the mind's responded to your practice. Then I invite you to come to stillness and release the shins. Allow the legs to come long on the ground, about mat distance apart. The arms to the sides of the body, the palms facing straight up, coming into our Shavasana pose. If there's an expression of your Shavasana pose that's a little bit different than this, feel free to come into it. What we want to do is find a pose that's going to allow us to relax and draw our awareness once again to the present moment. As you're here, what I invite you to do one last time is move through a body scan. Without expectation, without judgment, notice how the body feels now compared to when we first started. Then once again, start to notice path, the length of the breath. As you notice that path and length of the breath, I invite you to build the breath progressively. See if you can deepen the breath a little bit more and extend those exhales just a little bit longer than the inhales, which is really going to allow the body to relax a little bit more easily. Remember, you're not forcing the depth or forcing the length, just building that length. Now you can stay in your Shavasana for as long as you wish. When you decide to come out of your Shavasana, I encourage you to move slowly, starting with smaller movements, maybe through the fingers and toes, and working your way up to larger movements, eventually coming to one side or the other, and gently pressing yourself up to a seated position.